It's 5 minutes to 7. Our forum will start in 5 minutes. For those of you who have already joined us online, I'm going to give you a little bit of instruction over our interface. So you are going to see to your right bottom corner chat box, and you can leave your messages here if you have any question. And I have already seen some of our friends who just joined us. So you can switch the channel of the language of your choice between Mandarin or English. So you have chat box to the lower right corner, and you also have at the bottom of your screen a language channel for your choice. For those of you who access this forum through your cell phone, we have event key which is presented at the bottom of the screen. So the event key is 6ACUJQ. For those of you who want to access our event today, please click on your app, and then you can provide event key, and then you will have access to our event through your cell phone device as well. So our event will start in 3 minutes. We still have 3 minutes to go. Please wait for 3 minutes and then we'll start. We still have a little bit of time. I would just like to say hello to all the friends online, especially those from India. We know the pandemic has aggregated, and so we advise people to try their best to stay home. And safety is the priority. So I believe that for a lot of our colleagues here and friends here, you are under a lot of pressure. So please do not forget about taking care of yourselves. I believe that working together, we can get through this pandemic, and we just hope that the pandemic can be reined in as soon as possible. And maybe we can find a way of coexistence with this new virus going forward. So we will start in 1 minute, which is 7 o'clock sharp. For those of you who have already joined us online, please stay with us. In 1 minute, we will start our event. So it's 7 o'clock already. Now I announce as moderator, we officially start our event. Hello everyone, good night, good afternoon, and good morning. I am Wenxing of National Human Rights Museum, and I'm also the moderator of this online forum. Today we're hosting this 5th talk of the FIHRM-AP Forum on Migration and Human Rights in 2021. The topic is building a livable space for refugees. Our guest speaker is Chiu Chen-yu, founding director of Taiwan Reyhanli Center for World Citizens. Thank you, Cho, for accepting our invitation. Before we start, please allow me to give our new friends to this forum a bit of background information. Starting from last year, we have invited guest speakers from NGOs, museum practitioners, and subject matter experts and scholars for this online forum. So we have speakers like Serve the People Association, who talk about migrant workers in the face of the pandemic, the curator of What a Brilliant Time Art Festival, who talk about a special exhibition presenting personal narratives of female migrants. The speaker representing the Garden of Hope Foundation talk about the difficulties faced by female migrant domestic workers. Taiwan International Workers Association, TIWA, speaker talk about the experience of migrant fishermen imprisoned in Taiwan. And also Taiwan International Family Association, TIFA, who talk about the unfair treatment of new immigrants from the Perspectives Amendment of Nationality Act and overseas interview. And Father Peter Nguyen Van Hong, Director of Vietnamese Migrant Workers and Immigration Office, talk about enslavement cases and his advocacy work for making of Human Trafficking Prevention Act. Last month, we had a speaker from National Museum of Taiwan History who talked about how a museum exhibition can be inclusive in presenting stories of people from all places. So at each talk, we invite speakers to share topics relating to migrant human rights. Speakers will present their different experiences in the field or advocacy campaigning work, offering a variety of perspectives ranging from legislation, human rights to actual practice. Their insights reveal how NGOs and museums adopt different approaches and angles to further raise people's awareness of this issue. After each session, video of the recorded talk will be available on the official website of FIHRM-AP. Videos of our January and April talks have already been uploaded and available on our website and our YouTube channel. Please feel free to check them out. If you like our content, don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell icon for notification. Before we start, please allow me to go over our agenda today. The online forum takes place once a month and lasts 1 hour each time. I'm the moderator. After I give an opening introduction, the speaker will give a 45-minute talk. Then we reserve 5 to 10 minutes for online participants to ask questions. Please feel free to leave your comments and questions in the chat box in the the bottom right corner. After the talk, I will consolidate all your questions and have them answered all together by the speaker. The event will be supported by simultaneous interpretation from Mandarin into English. To switch to English channel, please use your language floor in the lower right corner of your screen. Now let's talk about our topic today. Today, the focus will be shifted from the current state of migrants in Taiwan and their human rights to the border of Turkey and Syria, which is about 8,000 kilometers away. Since the outbreak of the Syrian civil war, 16 million Syrian refugees have been displaced and fled to Europe and Turkey, causing the so-called refugee crisis in various countries. Notably, Turkey has taken in about 4 million Syrian refugees. The raging epidemic since last year has thus aggravated the difficulties of these refugees in earning a living, getting supplies, or access to medical assistance, making their already difficult living conditions even more drastic. As we do not have a refugee act in Taiwan, I think many of our Taiwanese audience are not familiar with this issue. However, this does not mean that we don't have refugees in Taiwan. Instead, they had no choice but to live illegally here. It is our honor to have the founding director of Taiwan Reyhanli Center for World Citizens, Chiu Chen-yu, as our speaker for this online forum. He is going to share with us his experience of building a center which is accepted by both Syrian refugees and local residents of Turkey. And what's more important is that we can pull thoughts together to figure out what we can do for the refugee crisis. Now I'm going to give the floor to Chiu. Thank you. Thank you for our audience for your presence. Now I'm going to take you through the journey we have walked down in order to build this Center for World Citizens and all the challenges we have encountered. And this Taiwan Reyhanli Center for World Citizens is actually the very first refugee center which served both Syrian refugees and Turkish people. So this is where we are located, a small town called Reyhanli. And we know that 10 years ago, because of the outbreak of civil war, causing a lot of refugees fleeing Turkey, and unfortunately, Reyhanli is located at the border of Syria and Turkey, so it's only 40 kilometers away from Aleppo. Fastest way into Turkey is to go into Turkey through Reyhanli. So we saw that Turkey officially has taken in around 4 million refugees. However, the hidden figures can be as high as 8 million. So I'm going to conditions these Syrian refugees face. So, our center is on a small town called Reyhanlin on the border of Syria and Turkey. So, before the outbreak and the flooding of refugees, this town hosted around 100,000 people. So, unfortunately, together with these refugees came with them terrorists. Therefore, every year there are suicide bomb attacks, and the most severe one is the one which took place in 2013. There were two of the bombs which killed 52 people immediately, and because of that, the Taiwanese government and Turkish government decided to do something for this small town, the most traumatized town in Turkey, for the reasons of fleeing refugees. So I'm only a scholar. I have never built any buildings before. So I was really grateful to my teacher, my instructor in Australia, whose name is Glenn Murcott. He told me that it requires frequent visits, and you are the closest one to Reyhanli. But you don't have to be afraid. Just do it. And I'm also really grateful to my instructor in Taiwan, Wang Junxiong. He told me that you do not forget refugees. Now you are going to design a Taiwan center. This is only a very small task, and you just need to do it the best you can. So this can be turned into a moving story, and a moving story can change people's heart. And only when people's hearts are changed can world be changed. So this city actually had three mayors. So to the right of this picture, we have the first, second, and third mayors. So we have refugees population more than the local Turkish population, and all these three mayors had no clue about what this center should do. So my good friend in Taiwan, Mr. Liao, told me that, Joe, you have to be there. You need to embed yourself in the city because you will be the only one who learn about what these refugees need. So you can help them, and you also need to help all the city council, Turkish people, and the mayor and the government. You need to help these people from top down, otherwise you won't be able to help anyone. So I took my students to visit the space for over 25 times. When we first visited the city was bombarded by Kurdish forces. So before we started the construction to the southeastern corner of our base, a suicide bomb was ignited. I just want to emphasize that because of these brave and selfless students who went with me for research and investigation for over 3 years. Without their efforts, we could never have made this happen. And Johan Palasma, a good friend of mine, told me that, Cho, you're not only going to build a house, you are actually showing the world through this building what exactly is refugee crisis. Refugee crisis is the crisis of a war. What it does that mean? Because you have this 16 million of refugees. Compared to the total European population, this 16 million is nothing. But why is it a crisis? Because everybody said this is actually Turkish issue and they sealed off the border. However, the Turkish people said that this is only the Hatay province issue, and the Hatay province said this is only Reyhanli's issue, and Reyhanli said this is military issue. So the military said this is no big issue. So they built a very long wall to wall off these refugees. Can a wall really stop refugee crisis? So this is actually what it looks like at the city. So to the left of this wall, we have thousands and thousands of Syrian refugees last winter. When the pandemic rages around the world, are you aware that at the border we have this cluster infection at the border, and at one of the refugee camp which was actually built by UN. However, unfortunately, we did not see news of that. Why is that? Because there was no organization capable of reporting the truth to the world. So, according to our unofficial estimation, about 1 million of Syrian refugees died of COVID-19. And the reason why I'm building this Taiwan Center, I actually used a part of these border walls. I use this military compound materials and transform that into a humanitarian facility. So people on the two sides, which were separated before, are now bring together by this facility. And also, I have collected all the concrete remains of those buildings and to our ground, and I created a child's playground for these children, demonstrating that one day all these walls will fall down, and one day our children, our people can move freely. One day for those people who have a country, who doesn't have a country, that the kids will learn to respect each other, and all of us can become a world citizen. That is why this center is called the Taiwan Reyhanli Center for World Citizens. In the meanwhile, we have like big borders around our center because we know the crisis is always lurking. We know once we start our operation, terrorism will definitely see us as the first primary target because we are actually a first center providing services to Syrian refugees. As the founding director, it's my obligation and responsibility to protect my center. And also, my friend told me that, Chiu, if you think that it's very important to build a humanitarian building, then you need to have a competition for this building. It's a social responsibility of architects.
So we had this architecture award that we organized, and another friend of mine from Finland asked me, "Do you know what is it about Muslim buildings?" And he told me that if I know how to build one arch, then I know how to build the second one. And if I build many such arches, I can complete a complex building and eventually a town and a city. We have very limited budget, but we created 52 arches and all of them face Mecca. And also we use green light for beauty and for safety. And more importantly, we know that all the great mosques use green light, and whether you are Syrian or Arab, both of these people believe in Islam. And my professor from Taiwan, Mr. Huang, also told me that you have to not only design a building but also do the right things. You have to adjust your budget, the function, the timeline. And I want to tell you honestly that at the beginning, we wanted to finish the center within 6 months, but eventually it took 5 years. I want to thank Mr. Zheng Kaishan on the right-hand side that you are seeing. He told me every time that, "Chiu, don't worry, just do the right things, do the right surveys and research, and figure out the functions of the building. I know how difficult it is." I also want to thank this mayor, Chu. He told me, "If you need any help, just let me know. I will help you wholeheartedly." So with the help of the city government, the center was completed with limited budget. How did the mayor help me? I told him that I have these concrete platforms, but I need soil foundation. But soil foundation is very expensive. It requires 100,000 euros. The mayor told me that I don't have money, but I can help you. So the mayor asked the military to open the border, and then the mayor asked people to go to Syria and take back 100 trucks of soil foundation that we could use later. This is how this problem was solved. So I want to thank the mayor. I also want to thank my good friend, Nicholas Ray, a professor at Oxford. He told me that I know that your budget is limited, but don't forget that the building needs to respond to the climate and the geology. We know that all the 52 arches face Mecca, so each wall is north-south as direction. So in this very hot climate, these walls can prevent heat and very scorching sunshine, and also on the ground level you don't feel very hot, and also it's rainproof and it's also sunlight proof. Even though we have limited budget, we could respond to the local geological and climate conditions. This is my friend, architect Xie from Taiwan. He went to Turkey to help with this project. He told me that you can do a lot of things, but you can never finish the construction. And I said, why? And he said, because the building will be taken away eventually. In Reyhanli, everyone is refugee. Everyone needs help and assistance. So he asked me never to finish the construction. In that case, the resources will be given to those who are really in need, including these women NGOs. So today I have become the CEO of the center. There's no pay and it's a lifelong position. And only by doing so can the resources really be given to those who are in need. And I also know that both the Turkish and Taiwanese governments at the beginning didn't really provide enough budget. I understand that this is very difficult and challenging as a position, but I also know that if I don't manage the center, if I don't intervene, all the design and considerations and resources can never be distributed to those who are in need. And today, the construction is entering into the second phase, and you see that our friend now on the picture is leading the construction team. Through such collaborative construction, these refugees can work together and establish trust and relationships between them. My friend Lepik Andres from Germany told me that, Joe, you have to really go into the community. So I know everyone, almost everyone in the town of Reyhanli, and I knew the provincial leader asking for help and understanding so that they know what the center is really about. And the center really needs to start to help our neighbors. You see a fruit stand there on the picture. It's owned by Aziz. His fruit stand well, the mayor wanted to demolish the stand many times, but his family, and also his friends, their livelihood relies on this fruit stand. I didn't want him and all these people to lose their livelihood. So I invited him to move inside the center to help take care of the center. And he wrote me this message that you are seeing. There were, it was an evening, and two Turkish people wanted to steal some cables from our construction site. Our security guards went to them, asking them not to take away our cables. And the security guard is Syrian, and the two Turkish guys took out their guns, saying they're not stealing, they are robbing. And so the security guard called Aziz, and his entire family took out guns to protect our construction site, and the two Turkish guys drove their car away. So if we know how to take care of our people around us, they will protect us in return. I also invited Aziz to put his fruit on these electric cars so that they can also make some money and your fruit can sell better. This is a carpenter who has been criticizing the mayor for 10 years, and he has been criticizing his policies for more than 10 years. And I told him, I can give you one unit in the center, but you have to do one thing. You have to pass down your craftsmanship. And the next day, he bought a lot of wood, and he asked me, how many chairs and tables do you need? And I'm glad that he's going to move into his unit very soon. This is FIHRM. He's 21. 5 years ago, he and his brother and father joined the Free Syrian Army, but both of his father and brother died, and FIHRM lost his vision. When he was sent here, he didn't have a job, and every night he cried. I asked him not to cry. I taught him how to draw, and carpenters could teach him sculpture, even though you cannot see, but one day your works will allow us to see what we didn't see in the past. And he said yes. This is Ahmed. This is our security guard that I just mentioned, the one asking the Turkish guys not to steal our cables. About 3 years ago, he came to the town for a heart surgery, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic, he couldn't return to Syria, so he slept on the road at night. In Reyhanlin, it's only 2 degrees Celsius at night. So some people allowed him to sleep in a furniture store, and during the day he sold clothes. Well, I invited him to move into our center so that he could continue to sell clothes and also take care of our center. And he said yes, but he told me there's one condition. Before I die, is it possible that you allow me, help me see my wife and my daughter again, because they are still on the other side of the border? And I said yes, but we know that there are a lot of cluster infections in refugee camps. So we don't know when the border will be opened and when there will be vaccines available. These are uncertainties. Maybe in 10 years, in 20 years, there won't be such a chance. But as a CEO, I cannot really tell the truth to him because this is the only hope that still motivates him to continue to live. I also decided to help these little kids. These three kids live just next to our center. They don't have a father. I never asked him, where is your father? But how do I help them? I have very limited budget, and as I said, I don't even have budget for administration. So I think I need to help their mother first, but how? I heard that Syrian women are very good at embroidery, so I invited them to do some products, some cat products that you are seeing, but Syria doesn't really have cats, so these are all cats that they make. And I just realized later that no one really knows how to design among them. So last year, I spent 6 months cooperating with NGOs, inviting embroidery masters to really teach and help them. And after 6 months, we allowed every one of them to start weaving and embroidering and designing, and every woman has her own design. And we also made a documentary about this so that the stories, the life experience that they had can be known to more people. The first documentary is about Nurse String, the one on the right. She has a meow meow with her. This was one of our first products, and actually the cat has 2 daughters. The first is called Ryan, and when she was 6, she was attacked by a suicide bomb, so she lost 2 legs. But her hope is that today, through embroidery, they could make more money so that her daughter could continue with her surgery, and so that she could suffer less before going to bed.
And this project is called the 1001 Meow Meow. So each one of the women who have their own patterns, who have their own personalized styles. So it's not just women involved in the project, also Syrian men are involved in the project. And also we have included in this pouch this famous Aleppo soap. So we packaged this and shipped it over to Taiwan. So we have the slogan ready that take the bath while saving people, and please join me to in the rubbing bath. So this is actually quite a popular product. So after this Meow Meow bathing pouch, it's not enough. So helping each other can probably give you something more interesting. So we have our second product, which is called the Woof Woof scarf. So this is also designed by the woman. So we have included all the necessary unnecessary features in this scarf. So it took around 7 to 10 days to make one of the scarf. Many of the families during winter, so they need money for coals. So they usually use like the second-hand portable electricity appliances for heating purposes. However, because these are second hands, this often cause a fire. So many of the families, their products were burned down because of these old electric appliances. So we still need to take care of these women, regardless how many of the products are destroyed. We will still give them the support they need, and then no matter how many they produced and how many were destroyed, we will still give them the money. So there are many different patterns and styles for adults, for children. So these are also available in the market of Taiwan. And this is my assistant, Wally. I am really grateful for his sincere support and help over the last 1 year. When I first met him, he told me that, Joe, my plan was actually to, after I graduated from the university in Ankara, I'm going to sell everything I had, and then I'm going to buy a ticket, and I'm going to cross the border to Europe as a stowaway because I hate this place. I spent 7 years in Turkey. Allow me to tell you, Cho, that on this piece of land, the Turkish government and Turkish people have never treated us fairly, have never treated Syrian people, myself and my family, fairly. He said that, Cho, I know that uh, the trafficking boat is so dangerous. A lot of people would die over their course overseas. So he was still planning to do that. But I'm good swimmer, he said. But I told him that even if you swim your way to Europe, would you be sure that people will still treat you fairly? He said that I don't get it. So I said, you don't get it. My grandparents came to Taiwan, fleeing to Taiwan from China. So every Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, they would be crying while they're offering incense to the ancestors because the entire family of my grandparents have all died. So I get it. I have left Taiwan for 18 years. Myself and my husband, we are ethnic Chinese, a gay couple. And for us, we feel the treatment unfairly as well. So it's the same for Taiwan because Taiwan is not recognized by international community, and as Taiwanese people we would still like to see the world treating us fairly. So if you're going to find the glimmer of hope, you are not going to find it anywhere in Europe. You're going to find it in your own hands. So Wally, join me, come back with me to Reyhanli, where you came from. Allow me and share with and join me to try again, please. So please join me. Let's give it a try. Thank you for your attention. So this concludes my presentation. If you have any question, please feel free to raise it. Thank you, Cho, for that very moving presentation. So I really felt this strongly, especially you talk from your own experience that these refugees, they cannot find a place where they belong, and it's the same for Taiwan. So I have already seen some questions from our audience. So we have four questions so far. So I'm going to consolidate these questions. The first question, I think just like me, after you saw those very cute 1001 meow meow and also the woof woof scarf, I believe audience want to know where can they get it. So I think there was a crowdsourcing project offering these products. So do we have anywhere else that we can buy these products so we can have access to these products? So the second question from the floor is that it's such a big social construction and undertaking. There would be a lot of people who want to offer their help. So how do you distinguish those people who really want to help and those who are just feigning that they want to help? And the same question, another question from the same audience. As a Taiwanese person, it's difficult to understand that it is important to avoid terrorist attack for a construction project. So I believe there are a lot of things you need to give up physically or virtually. You need to give up for the construction. So in your priority, what tops the most important thing on your list, that would be the last one you would forego. So as a hopeless humanist, I believe there are a lot of things causing mental breakdown. So, how do you maintain your motive and drive? Because this is something that it seems there is no end. So, these are the questions for Chiu. Thank you, Wenxing, and thank you for all these questions you have raised. And so far on our official, we are consolidating our official website, and we have successfully concluded our crowdsourcing project. In 2 months' time, all of our products will be relaunched on our official website. And you will see not just these scarf and bathing pouch. We will more accessories available on the website, because I saw a lot of NGOs working hard on the ground, but they have been doing charity work because Al Jazeera, one of the local correspondent reporters, says that in the following few years, there will be no international news coverage, because when the local corresponding reporters have left, and they're going to draw less and less attention, which means that NGOs are not going to receive funding and money. And you are only giving them fish instead of teaching them how to fish. So we need to give them industry. We need to be able to find them profitable industry, because I have limited ability. We can only take care of children to ensure their future, but we have to do that through taking care of their moms. And the Taiwan Center has recruited 150 women. Most of them are widows, and they have lots of children to raise. And then they also probably have to take care of people who have disabilities. So we need to make sure that these 150 families can have steady income. That is why I have played the role as an architect, and then I also became a director. I started this undertaking of social enterprise. So I think in 2 months' time or 1 month time, all the new products will be relaunched on our shelf again. So the second question is, how do we distinguish the people who really needed help? So in the center. So it's only just one trick. Have dinner together. I talk to the people I know that, can I just go to your family and have a dinner with you? Because when I sit on the floor of your family, I can know everything. I know that whether you need assistance or not, nothing can really deceive me. The way you serve the tea, your floor, your sofa, so that is my strategy. Like it's the same for the mayor, deputy mayor, citizens. We know from the point of them serving the dinner, you would know that whether this is a family in need of help. So the third question, the priority. So I had a meeting at MOFA. So the mayor of the city back then told me that while we are undertake this humanistic effort, a lot of times when we left and returned a year later, we were usually disappointed, which means that the functions we imagined or pictures for these buildings were not kept up. So we couldn't do anything. So for me, how to manage and run a center and ensure that this center can be sustainable 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades, until one day there are no refugees in Turkey. So that will be the time we retire Taiwan Center. So that is everything I have while this is the priority when I take into consideration of everything. So construct a building is not the issue. It's about building a trustworthy community, a mutually supportive community that they can ensure the operation of the center in this building. Theories or formalities are not important. Those will be at the back burner. So the next question is that every day it seems that there will be mental breakdowns every day. Yeah, indeed, there are mental breakdowns for me almost every day. This morning, I received a video clip. It was a video made by smartphone. One of the Syrian women told my assistant, because they knew that the pandemic is severe in Taiwan, so they started this video to cheer Taiwanese people. They want to express their gratitude to Taiwan. They said, like, go Taiwan. And they said, Taiwan, you can make it. You know that in this conservative Arabian culture, it is actually something forbidden for these women to show their face in the videos. But they just started to make the videos anyway. They told me that at least this 150 women here in the center need to do something and say something as a gesture to show our gratitude to Taiwan. Yeah, I have mental breakdowns every day, but in the meanwhile, this encouragement a lot of times go beyond my efforts. To be honest with you, I pretty much poured all my savings to this project. I have to be honest with you. This March, I was this close to disclose bankruptcy. I could not pay the salaries because we have a lot of colleagues working on the project. But before I was almost giving up, a lot of my friends, my senior friends, told me that, Joe, here's the money. Take it and do what you should do. So I thought, well, this is no big deal to me then, because the things I have received in return have already exceeded what I have given them. So empathy is something that helps us to brace for challenges.
I know that this is almost mission impossible, but I also tell myself, well, our center has no reason to really succeed because on the border, we have never seen a success case. I have a friend in Turkey, in Izmir, and recently in Turkey, there has been a nationwide survey about refugees, and there have only been 2 success cases. One is a charity organization in Izmir where a group of women went into the mountain to farm by themselves. The second one is actually our Taiwan Center, and it's surprising to people that we could bring the products onto the market and we are able to pay Syrian families with good salaries. So we are one of the 2 only success cases. So maybe when we are determined, we can go farther and longer. I hope that I have answered your questions. Thank you. Thank you, Chiu, for your responses. I think when we heard 150 video clips, we are very moved, and I almost was about to cry. Well, let me continue to ask some more questions for our audience. Some of the questions, can you hear me and see me now? Okay. Sorry, I think I lost my connection for a while. Sorry about that. Thank you. So let me repeat the question. Someone asked, Chiu, well, you mentioned that you cannot finish the building, and with limited resources, how long will this situation last? And will there be problems of distribution of resources in the center? As you said, so many people are in need, but space and resources are limited. This is the first question. And also another one, someone else says, thank you for your touching sharing, especially towards the end of the presentation. I want to understand, first of all, before the implementation of the project, how was your experience and what was your methods interacting with refugees? Second, are these refugees entering the center are certified refugees by the Turkish government? Third, as you mentioned in your presentation, there is a plan about entering the center. Can you elaborate on that? And finally, where can we view the video clips that you mentioned? So let me give the microphone back to Chiu. Well, I mentioned that the building construction cannot be completed. I understood that if it's completed, there will be problems of resource distribution and allocation. At the time, I knew that if the construction is completed, the resources cannot be given to Syrian refugees, so I decided not to complete the building. So when I do that, it becomes something that the government has difficulty dealing with. As you may know, in recent years, government budgets in Turkey has been difficult. And previously, there was a cultural center just next to our center that was not completed either. So the city government knows that they are not able to deal with this situation. So I became the CEO because the government realized that they couldn't deal with it. And I understand that when the building is only half finished, I'm able to invite good NGOs, entrepreneurs, and artists, and I invite them for this cooperation. I provide free units or very cheap space, and I invite them to finish the rest of the renovation and construction by themselves. Because you know what you want. You build something, and that's the most beautiful for you. So through inviting these future users, I turn the Taiwan Center become something that strings these different groups and teams together. So one question here, how long am I going to stay there? According to my contract with the Reyhanlin government, it's going to be 10 years. And after 10 years, if I'm willing to continue the contract, I can do that. But for now, there isn't really a withdrawal mechanism. I thought about this mechanism for a while, but the mayor told me if I don't continue the work anymore, the city government wouldn't know what to do. So the contract to me is a little bit like selling myself to this project, but I think it's okay to me. This is the first building that I designed in my life, and probably the last one. This is the first time that I worked as a CEO, and probably the last time. And there's another question here. Before the project, how did I interact with the refugees? Well, I think my position and my attitude are like this. Well, my viewpoints kept changing. At the beginning, I just wanted to help our ambassador and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Taiwan. That was at the beginnings, and once I finished the construction, I would withdraw myself from the project. But the more I understood the real situation locally, I felt very upset because I was certain that after the completion of the building, the problems would not be solved, and no refugee would benefit from this building, because in that society, under that political system, it wouldn't be possible. So I started to rethink about this project. I wasn't just an architect, I needed to think in a longer term, something more sustainable in order to face this situation. Well, I am a PhD, I am a university professor, but when I went locally, when I went on site, the refugees and the Turkish people taught me a lot actually, because through my interactions with them, they taught me a lot of their experience. Everyone, well, if you were me, you probably knew what you would know what to do, because when they told me their problems, the solutions just emerged naturally. Well, I have also tell you honestly that when there's only 100,000 Turkish people in the local population, there's 120,000 refugees. Officially, the real number is probably even higher. Every morning in Reyhanlin, you hear gunshots, literally every morning, because every day there are Syrian refugees who dare to approach the wall in order to enter Turkey, but they don't have money to pay to the brokers, so they are not protected by the brokers. So when they approach the wall, the gunshot is heard. And I want to also tell you that some families that we help don't have ID cards. They just came to Reyhanlin and their family members belong to different branches, maybe ISIS, maybe Al-Qaeda, or jihadists, or the rebel groups during the civil war, or maybe they once belonged to the Assad government army. So because of these reasons, they cannot register themselves with the Turkish government. The refugees keep coming. So in the Hatay province, there's a legislation stating that all the registrations of refugees are not allowed. Even if someone enters the Reyhanlin, a refugee is not allowed to register and become a legally registered refugee. So is it possible to go somewhere in Turkey from Reyhanlin? The answer is no, because on every main road there are checkpoints. As a result, in Reyhanlin there are many unregistered residents, And a lot of times, they are the most miserable and the darkest, the most upset groups of people in the society. We help many people, and we know that some of them don't have ID cards or don't have a legal status. I promise you that in about 1 to 2 days, I will show you the video clips because I hope really to send these good wishes to Taiwanese people. Taiwan is really hope to these Syrian women. I hope that I have answered your questions. Thank you.
For our internet connection, because in our museum the connection sometimes is patchy, but I think the connection now is normal. Thank you, Cho, for giving us very clear answers to all these questions, and it's really touching and moving for your experience sharing. Thank you so much for taking part in this online forum. Time is up. That today is the second last talk of this FIHRM-AP forum, and we will have the speaker from this 1095 Studio, which is an organization that has been touring campus across Taiwan to raise awareness about migrant workers' rights. So I do invite you to attend our next talk. And if you're interested in the series of talks, please stay in touch with our website, and the information will be released in 2 weeks, 2 weeks before our talk. And Cho, thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy schedule. He's currently in Germany, preparing for other work, and he just shared with us a lot of moving stories, and a lot of Syrian women saw a glimpse of hope because of his work. And we would like to see us in this together. And we are rooting for Taiwan and for all those people who are suffering right now in the world. We pray for all these people. And I wish all of our audience and your family, your friends, to be safe and healthy, to stay safe and healthy. And this is actually quite a severe time, even though we cannot just be like Cho, like reaching out to the refugees right away, but we can actually start with people around us, because this virus does not distinguish genders, races, ethnics, cultures, and languages. Thank you for your participation. And this concludes our talk today. And good night, good morning, and good afternoon, and wish you a lovely day. Thank you very much. Goodbye. So you can log out now. Thank you, Cho.